Well, yeah, thanks everyone for coming. Excited to be here. It's early on the West Coast in the US, but yeah, excited to give a little talk. So today I want to just focus primarily on a small kind of case study of using Rust in the Yocto context. Um, Specifically, how can we do dependency fetching and maintenance in a more automated way? For a bit of background, I'm Cornelius. I work at Span, which is a clean tech electrification startup in San Francisco. I'm an embedded engineer on the team there, and yeah, we use Yocto pretty extensively in most of our projects. So yeah. Uh, Next slide. Cool. A bit more background on Rust projects specifically. So for those who are not familiar, Rust is a compiled language. Generally, people use cargo.lock files and cargo toml files to maintain dependencies. So external libraries, you have an example of some of the contents of a cargo lock file in the bottom left here. So we have specific package dependencies with their versions. And this is what allows reproducibility of builds, and you make sure that you don't break stuff. Um, in the Yocto side of things, we have Meta Rust, which is an open source layer, and that brings in the compiler and a bunch of other Rust related utility tools. And then to actually do the building and maintaining of the dependencies in Yocto, at least on our team, we use an open source tool called Cargo Bitbake. This will create either an inc or a recipe file with all of the project dependencies. And it does that by taking, if you have a cargo lock file, it will take that cargo lock file and it will translate these packages on the left into source URIs and it will create a recipe for you. If you don't have a cargo lock file, it will do the same thing by just taking the cargo toml file and resolving the dependency tree and making a recipe for you. So there are some issues with this. It's a great tool, but because you are manually updating, each time you make changes to a Rust project where you have to add a new library or the versions update, you have to actually update your recipe each time. And so you can imagine on a team where there's a lot of people updating a lot of different Rust projects, this can easily cause breakages. So when I first joined, we also had no CI system for our Yocto. It was early on in the company. And so sometimes if people weren't actually doing builds or testing specific parts of the code on the device, you can merge code that works on the Rust side and builds and passes unit tests, but then actually causes the Yocto build to break because Rust is expecting a newer version of a library or it is expecting a library that hasn't yet been brought in your recipe file. So this can cause huge headaches where you code that merged a few days ago in the main repository is now not working in Yocto and won't build. Another kind of annoying thing with that is that each update that you do on your Rust side that brings in a new library requires a separate PR in the accompanying meta, like our company specific meta repo layer. So you update your code in your actual application code repository, and then you have to go in and create a new PR. So before we had any sort of automation around this, that meant that we had multiple PRs every day in our layer just to update these dependencies. Another source of annoyance with that is that there are two sources of truth for the external dependencies. So you have the cargo lock file and you have the inc file. And similarly as to why that would cause breakages, you just have two sources of truth where you can have not consistent builds or builds using different library versions, et cetera, et cetera. Finally, you have thousands of lines of duplicate code in these .inc files. You have all of these source URIs, and it's just kind of a headache and a pain to maintain. So how did we resolve this? The team uses Docker-based builds for Yocto. So the first step was to actually take this tool and integrate it into our Yocto build container and just put it in our path. And then another person on our team, Brendan, actually forked cargo bitbake to fail if the lock file, the cargo.lock file was not present. This was just to ensure that when we're doing Yocto builds, it's not cargo bitbake is not going out and fetching random dependencies or like whatever dependencies it thinks are right for the cargo toml file. And so then finally the work here was to create a new Yocto class that actually takes cargo bitbake, the binary that we have available in the Docker container, and it actually runs cargo bitbake as part of the recipe. So we created a few new tasks. I wrote a few new tasks that take that. It then modifies the resulting .inc file with all those source URIs to be readable directly by the Yocto fetcher. It will actually go out and use the Yocto fetcher to download and unpack the specified dependencies. And then finally, we just wanted to make sure that we're creating a dependency on the source rev, which points to our application code, to ensure that each time that we actually do, that we actually update our the SHA to our repository and our application code, that this will run each time. And so this allows us to stay perfectly up to date with what's going on in our application code in our Yocto layer. So what was the impact of this? As I mentioned, we had multiple PRs each day in that layer. And so we went from having multiple PRs to essentially no movement. The only time now that we need to touch this layer repository is when someone's introducing a new recipe or a new package, or if there's some libraries that need to be added to the Python recipes. But around the Rust stuff, it's essentially all automated now. So it's quite quite simple. No dev headaches around searching down dependency issues that merged days earlier. So this was a kind of major pain point where we actually wasted a lot of dev time trying to do this. Quite minimal maintenance work on the Yocto side. So as I mentioned, most of the code is just kind of fitting what our architecture is these days. And finally, approximately 10,000 fewer lines in our meta company meta layer repository. So future work, I think eventually I would like to open source this. However, for now, we still need to bring this cargo bitbake binary into our Docker container. And I understand that this is not necessarily super Yocto-esque to have this external dependency on this binary. So future work would be to actually take the cargo lock file that's present, and instead of having to run cargo bitbake on it, you can just translate what's in the cargo lock file directly into source URIs, which we can then use the same class, the cargo fetch class, as it's called, to directly fetch these Yocto dependencies. So that would eliminate the dependence on the cargo bitbake binary, and would be pretty streamlined. So that's it. A little quick case study. Happy to answer questions. I think we should have some time.
Okay. If you have any question, answer here. Okay, I see a question. How do you ensure reproducibility with cargo bitbake?
Right. So as I mentioned, the default version of cargo bitbake is not perfectly reproducible, where if you have a cargo toml file present in your Rust project, but you don't have a cargo lock file, it will just fetch whatever version it can use to resolve these dependencies. However, we actually created a fork of cargo bitbake, which adds a flag, which is require lock file. And so then it will actually just take the dependencies that are listed in the cargo lock file, which have a specific semantic versioning scheme. So it will just fetch the same version each time. So the dependencies or the consistency are just dependent on the cargo lock file.